Hello everyone. Welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Jan Dyer. It's Christmas week. How exciting. We are so excited that it's finally here. It's going to look different for a lot of people. I get it. Listen, the one thing that I've enjoyed being able to do, because I seem to have had more time this year, is making some things and taking them to people. I've hit the title companies and different people like that I've worked with throughout the years. My dentist office, you know, just things like that. So mainly it was cookies. And I thought a couple of weeks ago about a biscotti. I've never made them before. So I found a really, really good recipe and I gave them a try. I actually sent them with my husband to church, to the office there. They loved them. So I thought this might be a good one to share with you because it's always nice to be able to take a little bit to somebody. And if it's homemade, it's all the better. Not all of my gifts have been homemade, but most of them have been. So this is just a quick and simple recipe that comes together. There's several ingredients, but you just dump it in the bowl. So I thought you might enjoy seeing this, and it might help you with some of those last minute gifts that you want to take around to some people. You know, almost everybody starts their day with a hot cup of tea or a hot cup of coffee. Dunking one of these little biscottis in it, delicious, and they're gingerbread. Makes you think about the holidays. So let me get started. In my mixing bowl, we're going to mix all the dry ingredients in here. We're really mixing everything in here. And then we'll pour it out and get it ready to go in the oven. But I already have in here 2 1/4 cups of just all-purpose flour. To that, I'm adding 1 1/4 cups of dark brown sugar, which I had bought that for another recipe earlier in the holiday season. And boy, that's just such great, rich flavor. You know, I have one of those little bears in my brown sugar to keep it from clumping together. Have y'all seen those? I really think they work. I don't get great big clumps in my stuff. Okay, to this. I just put all of our spices out here so we could just look at them together. Because it's gingerbread, this is, let me make sure, 2 teaspoons of ginger. Then we have 1 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, you can barely see that, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. So those go in here, and then we're going to let the mixer mix that all up. So let me get that up. Let me get it started. That's all we're doing. We're just making sure that's really well and incorporated. We'll let that go a little bit. We're going to add a couple of things to it, then I'm going to add the liquid. So let me get the liquid ready while this is mixing. It's still got a little bit of clumps in it. We have, another reason it's so good, moist and chewy, a 1/4 cup of molasses. And I actually sprayed my measuring cup with some cooking spray so that I can get my molasses out pretty easy, because that molasses is sticky. And it's an unusual flavor. It's not something I use very much, but it's just kind of a neat special thing to have for the holidays. To this we just add 2 eggs. And like I said, that's going to be our wet ingredients. So these are kind of dry, but they're made to be dry. Let's get that all mixed up. Let me just tell you what I'm going to add to this now that I'm going to mix this up. But we're going to add 1 cup of chopped pecans, which I already have ready. And all I did was get that all broken up. I don't know if you could see that, but it was just all mixed together, all broken up. It actually calls for a 1/2 cup of apricots. I didn't have any. But I didn't have any last time I made it, and I used the raisins, and everyone loved it. So, 1/2 cup raisins. So let's get that mixed in. That's just going to get that real well incorporated. Okay, all we have in here is our 1/4 cup of molasses, 2 large eggs, 2 teaspoons of orange zest, and you will not believe how much that little bit of orange, what the difference that little orange zest makes, because you can taste it all the way. Get this all mixed up. I let my eggs sit out a little bit. Sometimes if you get them a little bit warmed up, They're just gonna break up and combine easier. But if you don't have time to do it, I've used cold eggs lots of times too. Okay, while that's still going, I'm gonna pour this in. It smells really good. You can smell that ginger and cinnamon, and now you'll be able to smell the orange and that unmistakable fragrance from the molasses. I, however, did not spray this one, but it's coming out. Not a problem. Are y'all ready for Christmas? It's gonna look a little bit different this year, isn't it? We're all just making the best of it. We'll all get by. And I am excited. I'm excited for everybody. I love seeing all the pictures on Facebook and different families that are getting together. You know, if they're already together, getting together is not a problem. But that traveling, that's what we can't do. So, I get it, I understand it. Let me turn this up just a little bit because I need it to. It's just gonna make big clump. And then we're gonna pour it out and divide it. And we're almost done. And you just really wouldn't believe how fragrant this is before it's even cooked. So you can imagine what it's gonna be like when it comes out of the oven. And I'm not going to, there's a step that we're not gonna do together because it's simple. And it is letting, the biscotti is gonna bake at 350. I've already got my oven preheated. So we're gonna divide it and cook it for 30 to 35 minutes. You take it out and let it cool for 10 minutes. That's the part we're not gonna do together because, you could hear that, couldn't you? I'm just gonna have to let it cool for 10 minutes. Then I will slice it and put it back in the oven. And you can decide at that point if you want super chewy or dry and crumbly biscotti. I think I actually did I think I did about 15 minutes. So it's 10 to 20 minutes the cook time. I just went in the middle. Let me get this out of here. I'm gonna scoot this out of the way. Pour this out. You don't have to use a rolling pin on it. Just have a little, you don't put it on a floured surface either because it is going to dry them out too much. So we don't put any more flour in them, but I do have a little bit of flour in case I need to put just a little bit on my hands. Listen, my hands are nice and clean. Usually I wear gloves. That doesn't work well with this dough. So I just got my hands nice and clean. And we're gonna try it on this. I just poured it on a counter last time, but I thought this looked a little bit better. This is, I dump it out, scrape it around, get the goodies that are left on the side. I really had so many rave reviews on these, and I hadn't made them before. Let me grab my flour in case I need it. Let me just go ahead and do a little bit. I'm going to assume I'm going to need a little bit. Right here in my little garbage bowl. Are y'all using your garbage bowls? It's wonderful. It actually saves so many steps. Okay, I need to cut this in half. Let me just do that. Then I'll work with each side. I don't know how many of these it made. It makes quite a bit because it will, it spreads out quite a bit. And when it does, it's also sticking to the silpat. But I'm determined. When it spreads out, that's when you're actually going to slice it. So let's see what we can do here. It may not look like you're going to get a whole lot, but it grows in the oven. You know, it's got that baking powder and baking soda in it. So that's going to work together. And spread it out. So let me get just a little bit more flour. Because my palm is turning into a gingerbread cookie. I should have set out a measuring ruler or something so I could see what 10 inches is. It's probably 8. That was good. That's why you have your garbage bowl. If I hadn't had my garbage bowl, I would have poured that flour all over the counter. Because that's one thing I know I can do. I can make a mess. I'm usually the one cleaning it up, so it's not a big deal, but still. If you can save yourself a little time and energy, I'd say do it. There it is again. Might be because this Seal Pat's made to be a little stickier. It is not even 10 inches, I know it. We spread it out a little bit. It's supposed to be 1.5 inches thick, so we're pretty close on that. Well, I think that is probably not even 6 inches. If that's the case, then that's what I did last time too, because I even had a ruler out, I think, last time. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to transfer these to my cookie sheet, which they suggest you just put parchment paper. Again, you don't want to add any moisture or take away any from here. So I'm going to put this on this parchment paper, bake it for 30 to 35 minutes. When that's done, I will take it out, let it cool, slice it, put it back in, and then when you come back, you will see the finished product, and it will be amazing. So, 45 minutes or so, I'll see you right back here. Look at these beautiful biscotti. Don't they look delicious? And I can only tell you they smell heavenly, and I've sampled. They are good. Okay, I'm going to go through the recipe just really quick because I've already got one bundled up as a gift. Who wouldn't want to get that? Gingerbread Biscotti. It says Merry Christmas. 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 1/4 cup dark brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of ginger, 1 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon baking soda. I mixed that all up in my mixer, just got it all really well incorporated. Then you added in 1 cup of chopped pecans, 1/2 cup of dried apricots is what this recipe calls for. I used raisins, that's what I had. I'm sure they'd be delicious with any dried fruit. Put that in your mixer and mix that in just lightly. Now we're going to put in our wet ingredients. And it is 1/4 cup of molasses, 2 large eggs, 2 teaspoons of orange zest. Put that in something and mix it all up so it can be really well incorporated. The eggs will all be broken down. Then you add it to your mixer. Takes a couple of minutes for it to come together. And when that happens, you just dump it out. Y'all saw it. It's kind of gooey, but you don't put it on a floured board because it'll get too dry. I had to work with a little bit. Divide it in half. Put it onto a parchment lined baking sheet and then let it cook for 30 to 35 minutes. That's exactly what I did. Took it out, let it cool. Then I sliced it. You know, they were big, long sticks, so I cut them in half. And once they've cooled, you can package them up. I take that back. Let me tell you what I did. After they cooled and I sliced them, they go back in for 10 to 20 more minutes. I just did 10 on these because I made them smaller. So that's your second bake. So when they go back in. Bag them up. They make all kinds of little things now that you can, a box or a bag or whatever for gifting. It just makes a nice little gift. Just to drop by in the morning when people are having their coffee. Just to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. I love you. Merry Christmas. So I hope you'll try these. You know, these end pieces probably aren't so good for gifting. We're going to keep those for ourselves. So if I see you again before Christmas, that'll be awesome. And if not, Merry Christmas. And I hope you have a wonderful time and enjoy this wonderful festive season.